Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we're going to be talking about my favourite comforting books to read when you're just in need of like a warm hug on my desk, and just like all the teddy bears from when we were little. It's all dusty are just so comforting. So yeah, we'll pop in there. And I don't know where Maisie is, my actual alive cat. She's probably charging around the house like a loony. I'm looking glamorous today for no reason whatsoever. I just felt like wearing a fancy top. So yeah, I was gonna wear my teddy bear onesie, but then I was like, if I put it on, I'm never gonna get out of it all day. And I want to go for a walk this afternoon, so have to be responsible. We're just going to talk about some comforting books, and I feel like I want to, like, a few of the books I feel like I don't talk about very often on my channel, so I wanted to highlight a few new ones. So yeah, so the first one I have in my pile is one I probably have talked about a lot, and that is One Last Stop and also Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And these books are just like kind of cheesy, like rom-com fluff, and they'll just put a massive smile on your face and just sort of make you believe in love, and just they're such comfort books. And I think I've read Red, White and Royal Blue twice, and I've only read this one once. This is an arc and it comes out in May, but I already want to like reread it. I'm definitely going to read it at least once more before it comes out, and then probably again once it's out, because I feel like I like One Last Stop a bit more than Red, White and Royal Blue, but I love them both. I think I gave them both 5 stars, and they're just that kind of like cheesy romance that'll just put you in such a good mood, but also like make you feel like, yeah, comforted. And I feel like One Last Stop also has some maybe slightly deeper themes, which can also be comforting in a way, because it's like kind of, I feel like sometimes reflecting on things is quite like a nice activity to do. I don't know. So yeah, so basically Red, White and Royal Blue are following the Prince of England and the first son of America. And basically they have this kind of like rivalry type thing, like they hate each other, kind of. And then one day at someone's wedding, they kind of are having this fight, and they fall into this like really expensive wedding cake. So then for like PR purposes, they have to pretend to like be friends, but then the friendship kind of blossoms into more, and it kind of just becomes from that, and it's really cute. And also I feel like it's kind of this alternative timeline where a woman is president of the United States, which is quite nice to see and much needed. And then in One Last Stop, we're following August, who's this like 23-year-old, and she's just moved to New York. She's kind of feeling a bit lost. And one day on the subway, she meets this kind of mysterious character called Jane, who is a thirst trap for suffix. And August kind of strikes up this friendship type thing with Jane, but Jane can never like leave the subway, and is kind of mysterious, and it's discovered that she's basically in this time slip from the 1970s. So yeah, and it's just kind of this like finding your place in the world, and like family, and also the kind of this love, and it's so good. And the ending was like making me cry so hard. My only like criticism of this book, and this isn't a criticism for most people, but the like tagline is like time, place, person, and all I can think of whenever I hear it is like the medical orientated to time, place and person, because that's kind of a sort of like way to assess how like confused someone is. So that, and it's repeated so many times in the book, but I guess it's kind of poetic maybe. But yeah, no, it's really good, and I love the kind of New York setting and the like exploration of kind of queer history and like New York history as well. So yeah, they're both really good. I would say Red, White and Royal Blue is maybe a bit fluffier, but they're both so good and so comforting, and I just hug them. So yeah. And the next, I feel like I don't talk about these very often, but I actually really like them, and that is The True Queen and Sorcerer to the Crown by Zen Cho. And I don't know if it's she or they, but they have a new book coming out in, I think, May time. This sounds so good. But anyway, these two, they're like historical, sort of not quite like romance, but also fantasy, and they're very kind of Austen-esque. And they're just so good, and they're so like comforting, especially if you like historical type fiction books, and there's like a bit of magic and like kind of fairyland, and they're just really good, and they're very like tongue-in-cheek in their kind of writing style, and quite like humorous. So in this one there's this sorcerer, and he's kind of just become into the role of this sorcerer to the crown, because I think the old one died or got assassinated or something. And he's trying to unravel this like magical conspiracy, and he also meets, what's her name? Prunella, who's this like orphan who works in this like girls' school for magic or something. And Prunella's quite a character and they kind of end up having to work together, and it's really good. And then in this one, we're following, what's her name? Muna. Yeah, and she basically wakes up on this beach and she's forgotten all her memories. So she sort of goes to England, navigate London's high society. And there's a sapphic romance in this one as well, which is so good. And the kind of fairies, I think, are trying to like take over the world in this one, basically, or kind of. But yeah, they're so entertaining, and there's so many great characters. And they're very like diverse as well, which is nice for historical fiction because often it's quite like whitewashed and straight washed. So yeah, these are really good, and they're just so entertaining, and like they're really comforting reads. So yeah, I'd highly recommend them, and I love these covers, they're so shiny. Okay, and then next we have a few kind of graphic novels. So the first one, I don't know if this is really a graphic novel, but The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie McKay. And this one it's really short to read, and it's just kind of this beautiful like story, and there's not a lot of words like on each page, but it has just this really like nice message, and it's just kind of accepting yourself for like who you are. And the boy kind of goes and meets all these different animals, and they're sort of talking about, there's just, yeah, I feel like this is such a great like book just to have in your house, and I'm like definitely gonna share this with my like children one day, and there's just so many great messages. I just opened it on this one page, and it's like, what do you think success is? Asked the boy. To love, said the mole. Yeah, there's just so many things like that. And oh, the mole is like, well, hello, and there's this little cake. Oh, yeah, so it's really good. It'll make you feel so like, yeah, just like believing in yourself, and like being kind to yourself as well, I think is a big message, especially when you feel kind of lost or lonely. So yeah, this is a really good one. And we have Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and these are really cute graphic novels. So I think the fourth one's coming out soon as well. But you can read them like online for free on Tumblr, I think. And well, no, I know. I always say I think, but I know. These are so cute and so comforting, and they kind of make you feel nostalgic for like school in a way. I don't know. I feel like because it's like British school, and there's just something about it. And they're kind of like teenagery, so. Yeah, and we're basically following Nick and Charlie, and Nick is kind of openly gay, and then, no, Charlie is openly gay, and then Nick is kind of like discovering about his sexuality, and they just strike up this friendship, and it's really cute and really wholesome, and like, oh, all the characters are just so cute, and it'll just put a massive smile on your face and make you feel really kind of like comforted, just kind of like real escapism, and like just. And there's going to be a TV show coming soon, I think, which is so exciting. But yeah, I love the graphic novels. It's so comforting about the like style of the graphic novel, like the art, and just reading that just feels so comforting. I don't know. I just feel like graphic novels are something I turn to if I don't feel like reading, but I'm in need of some kind of comfort. Yeah, and we also have, get my from the floor, Check Please, which is another graphic novel. And this is another one you can read online for free. So I'll try and remember to include links in the description. But I love these so much. We're following Bitty, and Bitty is such a wholesome character. Like, he's such a little cinnamon roll. And he's basically going to college for the first time, and then he joins the ice hockey team, and it's just like his friendship with the team, and Bitty like loves to bake pies, and so he's like living in this frat house, and he's like doing all the cooking for all these frat boys basically, or like hockey boys, I don't really know, and I didn't even know anything about ice hockey, but I still really enjoyed it, and you just root for Bitty so much. And also Bitty has these like vlogs, I think, that he does, and yeah, just they're all such like characters, and oh, there's these pair of himbos on the team who are just, I love them. And I think it's in the back of like the physical editions, but like on the comic online, because that's where I first read it, you have like, as you're going through, they keep popping up, and it's like their kind of explanations for different hockey terms, and they're so funny. Then next we have Becky Chambers and her books, and I love Becky Chambers as an author. Her like books is such like warm hug, and they're just restore your faith in humanity. They're just so like, all the characters are so, I don't want to say like lovey-dovey, but they're so sort of accepting of others, and even if they're not, it's kind of learning to accept others and their differences, and like dismantling your own kind of prejudices, and like learning to work together, and like And yeah, so in the first one, we're following Rosemary, and she travels to this ship called the Wayfarer, and basically there she sort of has to like integrate with the crew and like work together with the crew, and just the crew is so like I love the Wayfarer crew so much. And yeah, they're traveling to this like this ring gate, which basically, and they're taking the long way round, I guess that's why it's called the long way. And it's just, yeah, it's just so beautiful, and like discovering the kind of this alternate like galaxy where all these species are like working together, and then there's some species which like don't really get on with other species, and yeah, it's so interesting, and just so, yeah. And there's like you learn about the different species cultures. Like one of the characters is Six, and she's this like Andrask, and they go to the Andrask planet, and they have such different kind of perspective on like love and like not touching, like physical intimacy, and just like, and the way they raise children is so different as well. And I just think it's so interesting, and like it's such an interesting look at kind of humanity, and like, and how it, I don't know, it's so good. So I'd highly recommend all her books. They're quite like contemplative as well, but they're quite slow paced, but they're just really kind of looking at like people and what it means to be like a person, basically. So yeah, I love them so much. And next we have The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison, and this is sort of a fantasy, but it's so cute and so wholesome. And the main character, Maya, he's such a cinnamon roll. Like, there's something about cinnamon roll characters that are just so comforting to me. I love cinnamon rolls. I would like to self-identify as one, but I don't know if it's true, but yeah. Well, and yeah, this one's such like it's a really good like political fantasy, but it's also really wholesome. Well, I was saying that like the main plot starts with all the royal family dying because the airship gets blown up, and then basically Maya is like this, he's always been like really far down the like succession line, but suddenly, because they've all died, he's now like the emperor. So yeah, so he becomes the emperor, and once he's there, he has to try and like discover what happened to the family, because they think it was sabotage rather than an accident, and just kind of navigating this new like political court life. Yeah, it's just so good, and I think Maya along the way like makes some friends who are so cute and wholesome, and yeah, I feel like this book is really underrated, and it's such a pretty cover. I feel like the ring light is making it a bit shiny, but and she has a new book coming out in June, called The Witness for the Dead, which follows one of the other characters who I'm really excited about, because I think if I'm remembering correctly, the like Witness for the Dead, and he like goes, and he's a really good character as well. So I feel like that's the title, and then they make the character's name I can't remember because I read this quite a while ago, but I still remember the main character Maya because he's so cute. So such a cinnamon roll, and oh. Like, this is a kind of book that you would like if you like sort of A Memory Called Empire type vibes. Yeah. There's another book I'm thinking of as well, which has a sort of similar type thing, but I can't remember it. So if I remember, I'll like put a word in or something. I don't know. So yeah, that's this one. I always talk for too long. We have middle grade in general. I just picked up Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend, which is part of the Nevermore series, which I love. And I have a favourite like middle grade video, which I thought it was a flop at the time, but now when I look back, it has nearly like 1,000 views. So much as just people must just keep watching it. So maybe I'll do an updated version soon of like my favourite middle grades. But yeah, the middle grade as a genre, well, it's not really a genre, it's an age range, but just they're, especially middle grade like fantasy and sci-fi, they're so like comforting, and they just make you feel so nostalgic, and like there's something just so special about that. And I know they're books for children, but I feel like adults can just enjoy them and get so much out of them, because often they have really great themes and sort of messages, and like especially, yeah, there's just something kind of not losing that like whimsy and wonder of childhood. And there's just something so special about kind of reading middle grades, and they're often really easy to read as well. So if you're like not in the mood for kind of the heavy, dense adult fantasy, then they're just such a great kind of refresher, and they just sort of make you feel all kind of cozy and like comforted. And yeah, so I really love middle grades in general. I feel like including a whole age range is kind of a bit of a cop-out, but it is such a good genre. And yeah, like I said, I have my favourite middle grades video, and maybe I'll make an updated version, so yeah, look out for that one. I have so many videos I need to make. But yeah, so that is everything on my list. Let me know in the comments what your favourite like go-to comforting read is. I would really love to know. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're all having a great day, and I will see you next time.